Right. In this module, we're discussing interpersonal skills. This is going to go deeper into the concepts of work ethics and competency that we talked about before in the What is Professionalism module. This is going to be a shorter module, but its goal is to help you identify some of the skills you either have naturally or something that was gained through life experience that you should be able to recognize as a great trait to have in the workforce. So this is kind of just like a time for you to acknowledge yourself. All right, let's get started. Textbook definition first. Interpersonal skills are defined as the behaviors and tactics a person uses to interact with others on a daily basis. It's often referred to as having like social intelligence or soft skills. Interpersonal skills can be developed, but they cannot be learned from like a textbook. And sometimes they come naturally to some people, while others have to kind of actually work and like put in that effort to obtain and master them. Regardless of how you gain them, just know that having excellent interpersonal skills are in your favor when you're searching for a job. And so demonstrating those skills during a job interview or on a resume is something that you absolutely want to do. Interpersonal skills are highly valued. All right. Always make sure that you show that you have interpersonal skills that they are looking for. And we'll talk more about what they're looking for in a little bit. But I want to go ahead and um, demystify what these skills are that we're talking about. Interpersonal skills. Like, let's actually talk about what these skills are. So I'm going to give you like the five most highly valued interpersonal skills in the workforce. And this is just generally, it's not for any like specific career that I'm talking about that all these five are necessary in, but I'm going to talk to you about where they might be used or the definitions and things like that. So first we have active listening, which is when someone is able to decode and fully process information from a speaker. Active listening is super important. It's a part of communication. It's a valued part of communication in a sense because you have to understand what people are talking about in order to do what's expected. Another interpersonal skill that is highly sought after is negotiation, which has a variety of other skills embedded within it. But it's an amazing skill to have, especially if you're in like sales, marketing, legal, customer service. Like these are like those top things that being someone who is a natural negotiator is very highly valued. The next one is to have public speaking skills. That's it's a very big sought after skill in the workforce. It's also connected to communication skills, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Another one we have is conflict management. And this is another loaded set of skills that are just placed into this one type of category of interpersonal skills. And it's basically great for individuals who are looking for like manager positions or supervisor positions. Um, and it can also be used for people who don't want these positions. But if you have this type of skill, then it's likely that you should probably be looking for those like high up positions. So when you are able to manage conflict quickly and efficiently, it continues that thought process that, you know, we're in cohesion, we are able to collaborate, we're satisfied with what we're doing here. The culture is great here. You might see that quality in yourself or maybe a friend or someone in your friends group. That's a big one, who is typically like the peacekeeper of the group. That means they know how to manage conflict effectively, the peacekeepers of your friends group. So think about that for a second. Who's the peacekeeper in your friends group? And they might not have it as strongly as like, you know, people might think you need to, but if they are the main person who's trying to like keep the peace, they're the main person who's trying to make sure that everyone's kind of happy, everybody's satisfied with what's going on, then they're typically the ones who have the conflict management skill that you are thinking about. And then lastly, we have collaboration. And collaboration, or the ability to work with others to achieve a goal, is needed for just about every job that's out there. It's especially essential when working in big organizations, or organizations that have like multiple teams or departments that work independently of one another, but they work in alignment to the same overarching goal. So something like that would be like a hospital or a school. Like teachers, they all work on different subjects, on different with different groups of students, maybe different age groups of students. But the overarching goal is to get those kids in there, have them learn, and then have them graduate, right? Of course, I'm just like giving you like a general sense of what teachers do. They do way more amazing things than that, but um, that's basically what I'm meaning when I say that, there's multiple teams or multiple people who can work together for an overarching goal. And it's even more important to have the collaboration skill when you're working across organizations. So people who are like the liaisons of the group are going to need this type of skill in order to kind of like do the job that they're doing as a liaison effectively. And then there's other interpersonal skills that are absolutely necessary and needed in different job areas. So go ahead and take a look at that. See what skills you have. Are you creative? Do you know how to make decisions effectively? Do you have emotional intelligence? Do you have cultural knowledge? Do you know how to manage your stress? That's a big one. That is a big one, to know how to manage your own stress. Do you know how to manage within a crisis? Those are for those like high pressure, high fast paced type of environments. Do you have presentation skills or storytelling skills? Storytelling skills are very important when it comes to like people in marketing, people who do like philanthropy, people who work in nonprofits trying to get funds from organizations, trying to get those funders and things like that. So it's definitely important. Think about it. You have them. You know people who have them. And then even if you do not have them, or you have very low levels of these skills, there's always a chance to develop them. Another big thing is that interpersonal skills demonstrate that you understand the different characteristics that you will need in order to succeed within an organization and just to be successful in the position that you're in. Um, is also one of those like the really big decisive factors when you're in a job interview and an employer has to choose between you and a equally qualified candidate. The interpersonal skills really help out with letting you know who's a little bit more qualified in that situation and what they can and cannot handle, and can they do the functions that they need to do with the skills that they already naturally have, or the skills that they have developed over time, right? You could be asking yourself, how will I know what interpersonal skills are important for the jobs that I'm applying to? So like on this slide, we see an example of a job listing that's for like a public relations coordinator position, right? Everything you see highlighted are the interpersonal skills that they are looking for within the competencies that they have listed, okay? So we see like the establishing and maintaining relationships, okay? So what skill does that pertain to? Or what interpersonal skill does that pertain to? Liaise within each market. Remember, I talked about that liaison factor and being able to collaborate. So thinking about how that competency also relates to that interpersonal skill. Working closely with a brand. One of those big things again about collaboration, communication. That's always going to be one of those big top notch interpersonal skills that's always going to be on every single job description. So you'll always see it. Don't ever think that you won't. Um, the ability to work efficiently in high pressure, fast paced, and deadline driven environments. Okay, so I think a good example of like an environment like this is like the news press and things like that. People who have to be in like that fast pace, you got to get the news out there quick, 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 right? Um, and that's a skill. It's a person. It's an interpersonal skill because you have to deal with that. Oh, because it's always in a sense of they're in that crisis mode. Like, oh, we got to get this out. We got to get this out, right? The next question you might be asking yourself is, how do I demonstrate that I have these things? So you can demonstrate them in a multitude of ways, but the biggest ways is demonstrating your interpersonal skills the same way you do your competency. So that's in your resume, that's in your cover letters, that's in your interview, right? You can list interpersonal skills on your resume within a relevant skills or highlight section, or you can include it in your description of your experience, like how we see here in the summary of qualifications. And a cover letter is one of those things that's kind of like worded very specifically. You have to be kind of detailed about what it is that you kind of experience, and showing them that your interpersonal skill was something that was valued in your last workplace, it was praised in your last workplace, it was important to your job, right? Just like how we see here. And so let's go ahead and check our understandings after going through our lesson of interpersonal skills, right? What's another word for interpersonal skills? I'll give you a second to think about it. Feels like it was a long time ago, right? All right. And the answer is soft skills or social intelligence. That was way in the beginning. So interpersonal skills, same thing as soft skills, same thing as social intelligence. It's going to be very important to your life. Definitely, if you know some skills that you would like to develop on, make sure you go out there and you find those resources that can be provided to you to help you develop them skills. Our next question is, what are 3 of the top 5 interpersonal skills that potential employers look for in a candidate or employees? You only got to give me 3. I'm going to tell you all 5 though, okay? So the answer is, if you listed either conflict management, collaboration, active listening, negotiation, or public skills, you are absolutely correct. And then lastly, why should your interpersonal skills be displayed in the beginning of your resume? This is not verbatim. You can say however you need to say it, but why should your interpersonal skills be displayed in the beginning of your resume? And you saw that on our slide, our last slide before our questions. All right. So if you say anything like this, interpersonal skills are highly desired by employers, and it shows them that you have employability skills that would be of value to their team or organization, right? That's super important, okay? So making sure that you don't put those skills at the bottom of your resume. You put those bad boys right at the top, put it underneath your summary of qualifications, and then your highlights or your relevant skills, and then you go into your experience area. And we'll talk more about that in a different chapter. All right, and so that is going to be the end of this module. And next we will be talking about being reliable.